In 1509, a man was beaten 30 times with a heavy wooden stick in public in front of every official who once respected him. Then he was thrown into prison. Then he was demoted to a nobody, processing paperwork in a remote county far from home. He could have waited, played the game, clawed his way back. Many officials did. Instead, he quit. He came home. He bought a swamp and he spent 16 years building the largest classical garden in China, just to prove a point. Before I tell you his story, let me tell you why I'm telling it. I'm Jasmine. I'm from Suzhou, a city in eastern China that's been around for 2,500 years. And I'm telling these stories in English, a language I'm still learning. So why? Because last month I stood at the front desk of an art gallery in Rome and couldn't even say I'd like to rent an audio guide. I opened my mouth and said, "Oh, I want a machine." So yeah, I have some work to do. But here's the thing. My city has stories that nobody in the English-speaking world has heard. And I think they deserve to be told, even by someone who still says, I want a machine. His name was Wang Xianchen, born in Suzhou in 1469. He wasn't born into immense wealth, but his family had a unique status. They were registered under the embroidered guard of the Ming Dynasty, and Wang was brilliant. By the age of 24, he became a high-level imperial censor in Beijing. Think of that role as a government watchdog. His job was to investigate corruption and report wrongdoing, and he was very, very good at it. Too good, actually. The Ming Dynasty had a terrifying organization called the Eastern Depot, Dongchang. Think of it as a secret police force that operated above the law. They arrested people arbitrarily. They took bribes. They answered to no one. When Wang saw corruption within the military ranks, he reported immediately. Even when powerful generals tried to cover things up, he refused to stay silent. The emperor himself called Wang the crazy judge. He meant it as an insult. Wang wore it as a badge of honor. But speaking truth to power in the Ming Dynasty, that was extremely dangerous. And one wrong move, everything changed. They set him up, accused him of misusing public funds during an inspection trip. Was it true? Probably not. But was the accusation convincing enough to destroy him? Absolutely. He was thrown into prison. Then came the punishment: 30 heavy blows with a wooden stick on his back. In the Ming Dynasty, this was called 廷杖, court flogging. It wasn't just about the pain, it was about humiliation. The message was clear. This is what happens when you challenge the powerful. After the beating, he was demoted from respected judge in the capital to a low-level clerk in a remote county in Fujian. He spent years there doing trivial paperwork, watching his dreams fade. Later, he was transferred again. He did his job well, but his heart was gone. And then he realized something. No matter how honest you are, the system will eventually break you. So, what did he do? He quit. Not retired, not transferred. He walked away from the salary, from the status, from everything. He came back to Suzhou. He was around 40 years old. No title, no income, no prospects. But he had something: his hometown and his pride. He bought a piece of land in the northeast corner of the old city. It was low-lying, watery, basically a swamp. Nobody wanted. Most people thought he was crazy. But Wang saw something nobody else did. He saw water. And in Chinese garden design, water is everything. Water reflects, water flows, water adapts, water doesn't fight, water endures. He could spend the next 16 years on this land. That got sink in. 16 years of moving earth, digging ponds, placing rocks, planting trees. 16 years of turning a swamp into a masterpiece. Water became the main theme. He didn't fight the swamp, he used it. Pavilions were placed to borrow scenery from the surroundings. Every window framed a living painting. 1/3 of the garden was water. And then he gave it a name, 拙政园, the humble administrator's garden. The name comes from an old text by the Jin Dynasty poet Han Yue. Building a house, planting trees, growing vegetables for myself. Such a life suits a humble administrator. But here's what his contemporaries understood, and most visitors today miss. He wasn't being humble, he was being sarcastic. Humble administrator was his way of saying, "Your word of power games? I'm too clumsy for it. I'd rather grow vegetables." The garden wasn't a retreat, it was a rebellion. A beautiful, quiet, 16-year-long rebellion. But every story has a shadow. Wang Xianchen spent 16 years building his masterpiece. For the first time in his life, he was happy. But he had a son he spoiled completely, because Wang had him very late in life and could never say no. The boy never learned the value of hardship.